Good evening, everyone. You might want to make sure you turn the volume because I don't think the volume's still down from the other night. Yep, that's it. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Board of Selectmen for the regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 4th of 2025. It's now 7:01 p.m. I can give the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Any public comments? And not public, we'll talk to you in a minute. Correspondence? No. Great. I move that we approve the Board of Selectmen special joint meeting minutes from February 25th, 2025. Okay. Any discussion? We were all there. Try minds, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. I move that we approve the Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes from February 27th, 2025. This was the other one here. Yep.
That was when we approved the final.
Yeah, just looking on. Yeah, just looking. Okay, great. Pair of minds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. As far as the first sector report, I mean, really, we've done so much budget stuff. Kind of working on two things. One, right now, we did have a visit from Connecticut OSHA. They've done an inspection. They took about 2 weeks, and they, kind of sat down, I sat with each department that they reviewed. They reviewed basically public works, library, police, and public works. It was all broken out to building maintenance, transfer station, and the highway. So he said basically we did good compared to a lot of towns, which is great. We definitely have findings. We're going to have to, once he gives us the report, we'll have some time to try to mitigate or fix stuff right away. But I don't think it's going to be too ugly. So I'll keep everybody posted when we come to the next phase of that. The other thing, we have a lot of properties around town that are these tiny little properties that are still on the tax rolls. And basically they just get, liens after liens after liens, and then they drop off year after year. One of the big projects, I'm trying to see if there's a way we can either put those on the tax sale list or clean them up. If they're small ones, we can take from the town, or we can call a neighbor, figure out some way to get them off the books. So that's the other, big project I'm working on now. But otherwise, I'll give you a longer brief of what's going on next meeting. Any questions about either one of those? Old business. We had spoken before about lights on Greenman Avenue and crosswalks. So we have Eric Swenson here to talk about the quote. Eric, can you chime in?
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Dan. So I'll just give you a rundown of where we're at. It was a few Board of Selectmen meetings ago. We decided to look at 4 locations just to refresh everyone's memory. Going from east to west, there's one one near Caroluzzi's. They're all across Greenwood Avenue, by the way. One at P.T. Barnum Square near the famous pizza, and then on the other side of the tracks to the west, Dolan Plaza, and then one at Bethel Cinema, kind of near the Burger King. We looked at I went with some of the public works staff went with me. We looked at the locations, also went and looked at it with Lieutenant Matt Zavasky, and agreed on where these locations should be. That was all good. And in fact, he brought it to the police commission, and they approved it at their meeting on February 19th. So we're all set with the locations. What we've done is, because Route 302 is a state route, we filed what's called an encroachment permit application with them. My opinion, it was a bit long. It was 63 pages for 4 locations, but I don't know. We hopefully, I don't think it's going to be, I don't really foresee any major hurdles, although it might take a few weeks, maybe a month for them to get back to us. So here, what I want to do, so all 4 of these locations already have a crosswalk, already striped out. There's already signposts in both directions and pedestrian signs on them. So what I wanted to do was the low-hanging fruit, easy way to do it that would be fastest, obviously, would be just to mount so again, if RFB stands for rectangular rapid flashing beacon, basically the flashing lights that you've seen, in case you're not familiar. What we can do is, since they're solar powered, we can just mount a solar panel on top, mount the flashing lights, and mount a little push button for when pedestrians are there. That would be the simplest way to go, because we already have posts, and it's just mount it and go. Don't even have to hook it up. Hopefully ConDOT will agree with us that all those existing posts are good shape and they won't make us put a new one. So that is the plan at the 3 of the locations. The Famous Pizza location, if you're familiar with it, you might recall there's a couple of pretty dense trees right there. So the solar is not going to work directly on the poles that are there. So what we'd like to do with that is, or what we're going to have to do with that is either hook it up to power, but I think what's going to be easier when we looked into it is just kind of put in a new post on one side with the solar array on it, and then hook it up, and then we can still have the push buttons and the lights on the posts where the existing pedestrian signs are. What else? So that would be there'd be a little bit of excavation in the sidewalk, probably installing a new pole, so a little bit of extra cost. But anyway, I'll come back to that. Hopefully that will make sense. We got quotes from 4 different manufacturers. They range from anywhere from about 7,000 to 10,000 per location. So what we want to do, since the 3 locations, not the Famous Pizza PT Barnum one, but the other 3 have good solar alignment. And actually, by the way, we had the manufacturers took a look at like Google Street View to see how that would work. We'd like to go with the less expensive one there. We're probably going to go with the Migma brand. So that would be those 3. They'd be about 7,000. And then at PT Barnum, we'd like to go with a slightly more sophisticated brand that has a little bit more. It requires slightly more larger solar array. We figured that's probably the better way to go, since we're going to have to put up a pole anyway. So that one would be about 10,000 plus whatever the excavation. We haven't costed that out yet because we're not sure whether that pole is going to work. We're waiting for ConDOT. But anyway, I think that covers it. One thing I will say, so the more expensive one, or the fancier one, is Tapco. We called West Hartford. They have 2 new Tapco installations. They love them. We also called Danbury, because they have Migma and Tapco and one of the others. They really like Migma. So I don't know, we're kind of getting a mixed message. Depending on who we call. That may just have to do with who the sales rep is for that region, but that's the plan. When I was talking to Dan earlier, I don't know if you guys want to necessarily appropriate money yet. I still don't have total costs, but really that's waiting for ConDOT. I'm hoping they don't say, well, you're going to have to put a new pole here or whatnot, which could increase the cost. So that's where we stand. I think I covered everything. If that makes sense, hopefully, but feel free to ask questions.
What's the availability of them?
How long does it take to get, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, we could get them right away. I mean, I'd be ready to put them out on the poles as soon as we could. I didn't hear about they didn't say anything about like delays from, shipping it from China or anything like that. You're right. I mean, that is a concern with some things.
Yeah, I would think it would make sense to approve the money for 3 of the units, minimum, because, if the tariffs start affecting, and these do come from China, you can see a 25% increase in the cost. And those your guys could install, right? You don't have to hire an electrician to install those. You're going to install those yourself?
Yeah. So that would be simple. I don't know what ConDOT's going to say. I think all the poles look fine when we looked at them, but
Well, I mean,
what you're saying is we'll order the units. Poles aren't
let's
that
get 'em
expensive.
ordered.
poles aren't that expensive, right, Eric, to do a street sign? as long
no, it's just it's more about, cutting in the sidewalk and the foundation.
Right.
That's all. I don't want to be doing concrete. That's all. It's just
Right.
simpler,
So we're looking about what, $35,000 all in? Because the three at 7,000, one at 10,000, and a little bit for the installation of the,
Yeah, I would say 40 just to be safe.
or not to exceed. Well, I mean, I don't know what it takes to do that work around the. Or do 35? Yeah, let's go. I'm fine with that. How do you feel? I think 35 would probably do it.
Well, you're saying 1,000 each for the,
He said, yeah, I said 7,000 each for the first three, 21, 10,000 for the other, and then, $4,000 for whatever you do to put it in. I could do it up to not to exceed.
what was the number?
35,000.
We're giving him 4,000 if he has to replace one of the walls.
Okay. We'd recommend that coming from capital recurring and then go to the finance.
Of course.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, since, listen, this has been on the docket for a very long time to get done. We've been waiting on the state, but waiting on Westcog and everybody else. And I would say I appreciate your leadership by bringing this up. You'd like to make the motion?
I'd make a motion that we approve 35,000 and ask the Board of Finance to take it out of capital non-reoccurring for the warning lights at the 4 crosswalks that were mentioned.
Second. Any further discussion? With that, try remember, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Eric, thank you very much. And I know there's some other capital stuff coming. We're at the next meeting, we'll kind of go over that. So I'll have some time to talk to the Board of Finance and everybody.
Sure, sounds good.
Well done, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for your time. Have a good one.
With respect, next up on the agenda is consideration of a new police vehicle. After discussing it with the chair of the Board of Finance, I'd like to make a motion that we table this for a future meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, discussion about purchasing a used mower for Parks and Recreation. Rachel, your time to shine.
So real short and sweet,
This is good
we had an
stuff.
opportunity come to us from the Danbury Municipal Airport. They are looking to, I guess if they want, trying to sell this mower, there's just a lot more paperwork and a lot more involved trying to do it. So they're trying to do a trade-in about the power. It is a 2015 Jacobson, three mowers. All of them can mow independently, so they can have both wings up, one wing down, both wings down. It's an 11-foot cut. It is a 2015. It only has 900 hours on it. It has only mowed at the airport, which means it has mowed flat ground and it has gone one way for a mile and another way for a mile. If you look online for this brand of mower, a mower with, I just saw it today, a 2013 mower with over 2,300 hours is $15,000. I think now I have the same mower, which they don't make this mower with Jacobson anymore. They make, it's called an HR 600, which I did get quoted because it is on my capital plan. That mower, same sort of mower, same amount of decks, bought new would be $89,000. Do I need this mower today? No, but is this an opportunity to get a very well-maintained mower at an extremely discounted price? Yes. We do have a boom attachment to our Ventrax, which unfortunately we purchased when we purchased the Ventrax about 5 or 6 years ago. It is not an item that we use. We have been trying to trade/sell it. We're never going to recoup what we spent on it, but Bethel Power is willing to do a trade-in for that at 6. So I could really get this mower for $8,000. The municipal airport also has a plethora of extra parts, blades. They have a couple of tires that would all be part of the price. I think to get something that if we continue to maintain it like the Danbury Airport did, this is a mower that we can get a lot of years out of. and with an 11-foot cut, it's gonna be very useful, not only in the school complex, but Rubino, Mitchell, like, we're gonna be able to cut a lot of areas with this mower. And like I said, it was meticulously maintained. I mean, they've got to have a book about this thick with all the maintenance work that they've done on it. I just think it's an opportunity to get a really good mower for the town at a very discounted price.
Is the boom mower one with like the little chains on it? It doesn't have
No,
blades, right?
no, it's not a flail mower. So it's almost like, I call it a sickle bar, but it's called a boom mower. So it's just like really long
Oh,
shot
yeah,
bar.
I understand.
but
Oh,
they call
I,
it a boom mower.
yeah. So it's, yeah.
So really,
Highway guys do most of that anyway, so.
it's something like the flail mower or a bush hog that highway guys are gonna be able to do that twice as fast as we ever would be.
But it's nothing that town highway could use.
No,
No
it's
department.
it's made for the Ventrax machine, mower that we have.
Sounds like a no-brainer. Yeah, I mean, it's just thinking ahead, even though I think it's a good opportunity to see some.
But listen, we're not through budget yet. We may find ourselves taking over more mowing. So I think this is a good time to get it. Just saying.
Thanks. I think that was wonderful. Wonderful idea.
Any further discussion?
No, I think it's a great idea,
Okay.
great opportunity.
So Rachel, are we kind of certain on that 6,000? Is that kind of a done deal?
Yeah, I
with
think I
respect to-
gave you guys the quote.
Yeah, I got it
They
right here.
actually Give it to us.
Okay.
So,
So we would be 8,000 all in.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I make a motion that we we recommend up to $8,000 out of CNR to the Board of Finance for the 2015 Jacobson R311 rotary mower.
Second.
And, we have seconds. Pick one, Mary. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Rachel, thank you. That's really looking ahead.
when is their next meeting? I'm sorry, when is their next?
Board of
It's
Finance.
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Perfect. Who do I tell to get on next?
Let me call Nick and give him a heads up. Just
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You call Nick first.
like, I don't think this is gonna be any kind of issue for anybody. It's a smart idea.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good idea.
Okay.
Thank
Right,
you.
Rachel.
Okay, so what we got here. Okay. So next up, consideration of a motion to authorize execution of a contract with Sustainable Engineering Solutions for commissioning services for the Bethel High School mechanical upgrades. Melanie, you wanna go ahead
Yes,
and-
sure.
Thank you.
So the Board of Selectmen approved and awarded the bid for the commission agent services in connection with HVAC mechanical upgrades at the high school on February 4th. So they awarded the bid in the amount of $28,000, which included the base amount of $26,700 and the alternate $1,300. So you awarded the bid. However, that meeting we didn't authorize the first selectman to sign the contract. So now I have the
Okay.
contract ready to go. So the motion tonight is just to authorize that the contract be signed with Sustainable Energy Solutions LLC.
Okay, with that, I move to authorize Dan Lee Carter as first selectman of the town of Bethel to negotiate with and execute the contract in the amount total. Excuse me, the amount total amount. Oops. In the amount of $28,000, which includes the base bid of $26,700 and the alternate of $1,300 with Sustainable Engineering Solutions LLC, including any modifications and change orders related thereto, and further to perform any acts or actions that may be customarily or reasonably required to effectuate the intent of this motion. Any further questions about that? Is all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. You said that right, didn't you? Okay. Okay, so next up, consideration of a town meeting. So I'll first kind of tell you what's going on, and then we can dig into a little further with Tim. We've received a lease for our electronic voting equipment. Tricky thing about the lease is that it's a 10-year lease, and our charter says that to approve anything over 5 years for a lease, we have to do a town meeting. I've actually reached out to them and I've asked them, can we shorten it? Can we give us a year lease? And then we could do this on, the town meeting coming up in April, and we'll just make it easy. But, they haven't got back to them. So we do have to move quickly to get this done. It'll take 5 days notification. 56, to get this rolling. So we'll set that tonight. Now, before we do that, I think Tim wanted to make a couple comments about the lease, right?
Yes, I gave Dan, an email that I had received from the head of the Fairfield County Registered Owners Association, chairman for the county. And he showed the amount. If any town wants to buy more of the equipment, he had the schedule of values there. And so it looks like, and it seems as though in the schedule in the back of the lease, it's showing the units, the ballot box. I think then there's 14 memory sticks. That doesn't cost anything really. Then soft-sided nylon cases. It almost looks like we're gonna be above 100,000 anyway.
Is what,
Actually, there's 100,000 in value replacement.
that and
costs.
replacement costs, yeah.
But it's
I
not
said we're
the
not
lease.
paying.
The lease is a
No, the
dollar.
lease is $1.
Yeah.
So we're releasing the machines for 10 years for
Yeah.
$1. We are responsible for the maintenance, which we've added to our budget.
And they're delivering these on 14th.
Right, the orders we gotta move quickly is because we have our own referendum coming up.
Yeah.
But it seems like a very straightforward kind of way that the Secretary of State's office.
Well, I was gonna ask, how come we released it? I thought the state gave it to us, but
They did.
for that, for a
That's what
dollar,
happened the
but
last time.
Yeah,
it didn't say that.
I think the reason they're doing it is kind of just, they want to remind us, I think, the importance of taking care of them and also maintaining them.
I think, yeah, and I think they were, I don't know what office DAS or someone up there said, hey, the way you did it 16 years ago wasn't right. They just kind of handed it over to us and walked away.
Yeah.
I don't think there was even a letter agreement.
Do you have the date?
I can't, I didn't pull out the date yet. I figured maybe we could kind of come up with something here.
I guess we gotta do it as soon as possible.
And the other thing I'm suggesting, and Melanie, you can kind of weigh in on this. For early voting, the state law required us to determine whether we're going to have one or more early voting locations. And we had that one, and the laws almost seems to be written in a way where before every election event, you have to make it, and I shouldn't say election event, general election or a primary. You have to have our special town meeting in order to approve just having one.
Right.
So I don't know whether the state legislature is going to fix that this time around.
I was hoping that they would say that if you have a town meeting form of government, that could be voted on by your first select,
Right.
your board of selectmen.
But one thing we could do is have
They have.
when you have this special meeting, have this as a second item that we're approving that we're
Right.
just going to do one.
Yes, maybe just to be
And then
safe.
just say we're going to do it for 2025. Hopefully that'll maybe the last time we have to do it, but I think that our experience with early voting was such that we're fine having one location. And it would
Even
cost
though
us a lot
we're
more.
renting it for $1, we still have to have the meeting because
Yeah,
of that, because of the value.
No, because of the time. Because it's a
More than
10-year
5
lease,
years.
it's more than 5 years in our
Oh,
charter.
because of the term of the lease.
Yeah,
Correct.
Not the dollar amount.
right.
It's either,
Maybe, I don't know if we looked at that charter revision for something like this.
Well,
I don't know.
I mentioned it,
yes.
That you were so
I mentioned to Melanie, I said if there's anything we can fix
Yeah,
for these situations.
so, yeah, so my understanding, Mary, the way I read it, we have 5 days, right, including legal holidays. It doesn't count the day of the meeting.
I believe that's accurate.
Okay. I looked it up. I hopefully I looked in the right place in chapter 90.
Because there's different time frames for different
Right.
circumstances.
This was just under town meetings in chapter 90. So
Okay.
if something gets screwed up, we'll fix it. But what I would be looking, well, actually, we do have a little time. I mean, right now it's scheduled to be delivered when? The 14th?
The 14th, but it doesn't appear that they're going to hold up delivery.
They care.
And, I think these are two different operations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how do you all feel about Tuesday, the 11th at 7 PM?
Don't they have the Board of Finance meeting here?
I don't know.
Once
I
we
have,
do it, once we do
I
it.
have P and Z and American Legion on mine.
Does Board of Finance meeting second or third? The
Board
30th.
of Finance is on the 11th.
It's 11th, so we gotta do a different,
Well, we could do 6:30.
Yeah.
Along a town meeting's.
That's actually-
It's not gonna take long.
yeah, 2 6.
5 minutes.
But wait,
I'd do 6:30.
how are we gonna have it published? 5 days prior?
So right now is if we put it in tomorrow, right? We have the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. And doesn't count the day of the 11th. So if we put it out tomorrow, we should have the 5 days.
Right, I'm not in tomorrow.
Oh, I can have somebody, I'll top up, somebody do it.
All right, that's not unexcusable. You gotta come in and get this notice for us. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think we should make every effort to, I mean, they don't seem to be caring too much about it, but I certainly don't want to create a snafu and delay it.
No, let's just do it 6:30 on
6:30 on the
next
11th.
Tuesday. That way we get it done before the Board of Finance meeting and we're.
So let me just ask, without
Yeah.
Mary here, does somebody know who to contact at the newspaper and that whole process? Because you send it in.
Yes, we have a couple of
staff,
people who
they-
do the what do you call it? They call the news times and do these. I can look into the computer and I can put the notice together.
Good.
We've done a lot and
They do that at P and Z, they're kind of notices, so they
Yeah.
have people there if they.
It'll be my whole mission tomorrow. Sorry for
There's
that.
an account number and everything.
We sent them into the movie.
Okay.
I think we can figure out how to put a notice in the
Yeah.
newspaper.
Well, believe it or not.
Jen,
yeah,
if you get in trouble, give me a call. I'll help
We
you.
just have this time.
I can do it on my credit card.
Okay.
I can do it on my own credit card. It won't matter.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, I move that we schedule a special town meeting for the approval of the lease agreement for electronic voting equipment for March 11th at 6:30 PM in meeting room A.
And to establish one polling location for
We're gonna-
early voting in
do that too.
2025.
I'll accept that as a friendly amendment or establish one
friendly.
location. Early voting.
I second.
Okay, any further? Okay, with all electronic minds, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Yeah, I totally wasn't catching that conversation because I was thinking about the date and outstanding. Okay, so next up. Consideration of adopting a modified depreciation schedule for vehicles during the 2024 assessment year as outlined in House Bill 7067 from session year 2025, contingent on governor's approval. Before we go into it, I'll kind of give the backdrop because then I'll use Brad and Elizabeth, Izzy both on. So the governor did in fact sign the bill. What's today? Day before yesterday? The 4th? Yesterday. So basically he vetoed one piece of the bill, which was our special education funding. Which really stinks, but the piece of the bill that allowed the modified depreciation schedule was good. Just kind of for the record again, last year, the legislature changed the way that we value cars. It used to be using the JD Power book. Now what they do is they do a depreciation schedule based on MSRP. As a result, we found that, as we've talked about, it really hit our grand list pretty significantly. And I think it happened the same thing all over the state, which is why the legislature came with the fix, which essentially bumps up each depreciation level 5%. So with that, as far as numbers, either Brad or Izzy, who wants to chime in on numbers?
I'll let Izzy go first. Maybe.
Izzy, are you still there?
She may be muted.
She is muted, but
She's
she's not
muted.
muted for something.
Izzy,
Chris,
you're
what's your-
muted if you could hear us.
She just popped up a second ago.
All right, I'll go first. So, without an adjustment to it, the grand list for October 1, 2024 would be $2,767,000. And it has the cars in town valued at $195 million. If we do the adjustment, the car values go up to $215 million.
Correct.
So what that means for the bottom line, initially we are looking at, based on our current mill rate of 29.17 mils, the value of car drop year over year would be an $828,000 drop in revenue for car taxes. By adjusting it, it goes down to a $244,000 drop in car taxes. which is a $584,000 increase. And what it really does to, when we're talking about the budget, the current Board of Finance proposed budget, without adjusting for the car taxes, the estimated mill rate would be 4.74% increase, or 30.55 mills. If we do this adjustment tonight, the estimate right now, and it's not finalized, because Izzy still has done a ton of work to value the cars, but still is waiting for a couple pieces. The estimate right now would be 30.33 mils, which is 0.22 less mils, or a 3.98 increase year over year. So as you can see, like in 0.22 mils is the estimate for the change, and it's decrease. Hold on, I just had it. Like 0.76%. So it goes from 4.74% increase in the mill rate to 3.98.
So each mill equals almost 2 million, Brad, basically,
Each mill is worth 2.7 million, roughly.
2.7 million.
Yes.
Well, I mean, obviously I don't like raising taxes, but I feel like this kind of balances taxes out, you know, because what that bill did was it took a lot of the onus off of people who just owned cars and registered in town, whether they were renting or whatever. And it shifted the onus on the property and business owners, you know, basically are paying more of the tax. I think that this is a way to lessen the increase and kind of balance it out. And it sounds like we're still getting a decreased tax bill, right? At the end of the day.
It depends on,
Not necessarily.
yeah, it depends on the kind of car you have. So one of the ones that we looked at, Izzy and Dan, we've looked at a bunch of them. One of the examples we used was like a 2016 or 2017 Jeep Wrangler. So Jeep Wranglers hold their value, their market value really well. So the old way that the state would have us value the cars, it'd be pretty much 70% of the market value of that aged car. Now they're doing a percentage of the MSRP. So the original MSRP. So that Wrangler now is going to be worth a lot less the way the state tells us to value that car now. On the flip side of that, one of the ones that keeps popping up, if you look at like a luxury vehicle, like Dan and I looked at a BMW M5 that was like 9 years old. The MSRP for that car was $90,000, rough numbers. So like the market value of like, I think it was even maybe 10 years old, whatever it was, the market value of that car, I think was like 15. But if you take like the percentage that the state tells us now that we have to value that car at, it's much higher than that. But that car was that tax bill for that car was gonna go up based on what the state did. Obviously, it'll go up a little bit more because of this 5% increase. But it's hard to say what everybody's is gonna do because everybody's car is gonna be a little bit different. But I just want to let the board know that like some people's car tax bill is going up, but that's regardless of whether or not the board votes to do this. If you vote to do this tonight, it'll go up a little bit more. But the real problem with why it's going up is what the state did.
And you could also argue that there's gonna be less of a shift on the private or the real estate property.
Well, I think the majority of the newer vehicles, we saw that with this new statute that they automatically started to depreciate at 85% and then a 70%. So the newer cars were going to get a depreciation and then the assessment. So I think some of those we really saw a bigger depreciation. So that might bring them up kind of to where they should be with when we used to do the NADA. The problem is that some of the older cars, they actually appreciated. So that's a little bit of the problem with that whole depreciation schedule. But at first, we were showing with the way we were going with the new statute, we were over a 13% decrease. And I think right now we're about, when I looked at the numbers, we were about 3.75 almost decrease.
a big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah. Any further questions from? I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think so, for, like I said, for the fact that, you know, a lot of people just own cars and, you know, not trying to pick on anyone, but it kind of balances it out from what we lost. I mean, we're still not catching up to what we lost, right, Brad? You said we're still 230,000 in arrear.
Yeah, or it's still a decrease of 244,000. And the last couple of years, because COVID had driven up the value, last year it dropped too, but the year before that it went up like $2 million in the car. So the car values has gone all over the place. And it's not like real estate only changes unless you change it or a reval. Car value changes every year. So what the state's doing is actually making the value of the car more stable. But the first year that we switch the system, it's going to jumble everybody.
Yeah.
And it is, because I was talking to the chairman of the Board of Finance about this, and his question was, is this the first year the value changes? And I said, yes. And that even made him more comfortable in the sense that, like, it's not like we made the change last year, now we're going up. It's all part of this change from the state. And the state's now allowing us to do the 90 because I think they went too low initially.
Is that just on year one, or does the 5% carry all the way down?
All the way down. So it goes from, right now it's 85 down to 15. So it would be a 500 assessment for the lowest car, no less than 500 or 15%. Now it will go from 90% down to the lowest of 20%. Again, no less than 500 assessment. The one thing we did lose is we lost all the residential trailers. That was another part of that program, was all the residential trailers got taken off of the grand list.
How much was that for trailers? Do we know?
I didn't separate,
worries.
would do that tomorrow if you needed it, but I didn't separate the trailers and how much of a loss, what that was.
No,
But
I know.
they range anywhere from $500 on up to, well, 30,000, for, if it's a big size, like a car trailer. But a lot of the bigger ones are still going to stay on because they're commercial.
Okay. Any further discussion, thoughts? Okay, so with that, I move that we adopt a modified depreciation schedule for vehicles during the 2024 assessment year, as spelled out in House Bill 7067, which was signed by the governor yesterday. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Try your minds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you very much, Brad and Izzy.
Thank you. Sorry, I had a problem.
You're doing a lot of work, Izzy. Thank you so much. I know how
Thank
busy you are.
Make a motion to
Second.
With that, I'll try your minds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned at 7:39 PM. Thank you.